Yeah. Hey y'all, DA here. So, I have butchered out a lot of ranting that was at the beginning of this video because I felt that maybe it was not the appropriate move to take here. However, I am simply going to say this. I am doing this video because I have seen things that Hasbro and Wizards of the Coast have been doing to their player base I personally do not like, I don't agree with, and I am simply speaking out to show people there are other games out there besides Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition. Part of the thing that really kind of sent me flying over the edge was the fact that there was a post put out, and I don't know all the details that came with it, but I was not really impressed with the fact that the way that they're treating the 50th year anniversary, they are simply going to start pushing their digital table front, which I understand digital tabletop is an important aspect of a lot of us because, like for me, most of my games run at a digital table. However, some of the stuff that was put up for this new release of 5th edition, which 5th edition's been out for a little over 10 years now. They're doing another release of the player's handbook at a much higher cost for the same material that we've had for 5th edition. I suppose as a fellow tabletop player, do your research on the content that you are purchasing and decide if it is worth the value to you. With that being said, I would like to present to you some alternatives that I have found in regards to those that are trying to find a different game to play. I have all sorts of great ones in here from a few different studios, and also one of them actually happens to be free. Just you gotta take some time to go find it, and I'll be sure to throw all the links that I can get down here below. Okay, so on that note, friends, I present to you some alternatives because I'm sick and tired of seeing the 5e shenanigans. Enjoy. So, instead of talking about all this bad, because, it's the 50th year of tabletop RPGs, and it's kind of a shame to see the giant fall the way it does. But, instead, I would like to introduce you to some awesome games that I found over my journey of trying to find new games. Now, of course, we'll talk about one of my favorites here pretty soon, but we're going to kind of go down the list here. Starting off with, if you're looking for a competitor that really scratches the itch for the fantasy RPGs, and it's from one of the bigger groups, we got Paizo with their latest Pathfinder 2nd edition. And my impressions from Pathfinder 1st edition have been very positive. I haven't had much of an opportunity to play 2nd edition, but from what I've heard from close friends that have played both 1st edition, 2nd edition, Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition, 2nd edition, combat runs a lot smoother, and the way character progression works, it just feels so much more nice, and it fits really well for ease of play. So I wouldn't be opposed to trying Pathfinder 2nd edition. I guess it's just more I need to buy Pathfinder 2nd edition. However, from what it sounds like, of course, you get everything in the book to run the game, which has already put it at high marks for me. So you might be wondering, kind of on that scale of 1 to 10, where would I put Pathfinder 2nd edition? Because I haven't had a chance to play it, but since I've seen how positive the reviews are from friends and other people that I have, like colleagues and acquaintances, I'm going to put Pathfinder 2nd edition, because I haven't had a chance to play it, I'm going to put it at a 6. It's just above, the average. All right. And this would be a game that I'm willing to try. Now, maybe I won't play it all the time, but I wouldn't be opposed to joining maybe a short campaign. Now, I cut my teeth on Dungeons & Dragons 3.5 edition back in 2017. All right? When I started college. And I love kind of the bigger, crunchy expanse that 3.5 brought. And like all the different customization that comes with it. You can, bring it down to very specific details, and your build still won't really be considered out of the meta. There wasn't really a strong meta as much in 3.5. It was very much build your character to like a specialty that you want. And that would be where I lead to my next recommendation. Pathfinder First Edition. Pathfinder First Edition, when I stepped over here, it is nicknamed as D&D 3.75. It has expanded classes, a lot of really nice feats, lots of spells, and there's tons of books that cover how to, really play into certain kinds of classes, the kinds of roles that are out there. And I have not been I'm trying to think of the word. Pathfinder captured something in me the same way 3.5 did, but it did it better. Especially because of how they also handle like psionics as well, which is something that I personally enjoyed from 3.5. Pathfinder touches on it, does it better in some aspects. The book itself, I'm not sure what its market value is at the moment, but I can look that up actually right now. Let's see how much a Pathfinder First Edition would cost. So Pathfinder 1E, how much would Pathfinder 1E cost right now if we were to go buy it off? I don't know. Let's say it looks like low end I can find right now is $18, but looks like it seems to be hanging around between $20 to $30 for the core rulebook, which honestly not bad for an entire game with a bunch of the core classes and the GM's guide all in here. And I think that they do have a small bestiary in here, and then you can get the expanded bestiary as well. Maybe you like playing the 5e engine, okay? It's fast, it's very simple, numbers small, results quick, understandably so. However, if you happen to be a fan of FromSoft games, Steamforged Games, another tabletop studio that I've supported a Kickstarter for, produced a game that I still haven't had a chance to sit down and play, but reading through it, I think it's done 5e a lot better than 5e did, because they also do make their own adjustments to how the engine works. We have Dark Souls, the role-playing game. This takes place in the settings that show up in Dark Souls 1 and 3. Sadly, 2 does not show up here, but you go from everywhere from some of the nastiest swamps to the tallest towers of Anor Londo, and I can't wait to finally run a campaign with Dark Souls. Also, the respawn system in here I think is really, really cool. They actually did a really good job on that. And also, of course, you have your bonfires. And if you've played Dark Souls, this is going to feel very comfortable getting into. The stuff that they pull from the 5e engine is very much just the basics of resolving skill checks and attack rolls. Your items and spells are very much following how Dark Souls plays. So if you would like the action of Dark Souls, but you also want the ability to roleplay with the world in a way that Dungeons and Dragons or Pathfinder offers, Dark Souls, the role-playing game by Steamforged Games, is pretty good. I And also, I think it's worth every penny that I've paid for it, being a Kickstarter, because they have everything in here. They have everything you need to create your character. They have everything the GM needs to run the game, and they have all the monsters in here that you need for the setting. So with that in mind, Dark Souls, because I've had a read through of it, but I haven't had a chance to play it, I am going to also give it, right now, I'm going to take it up to a 7, because I've had the ability to read it. This looks like something that I would definitely want to run a campaign on. It has those right kinds of fantasy elements, but it doesn't get too crazy on, being able to munchkin your way out of things. If you build the right way, you'll be unstoppable. But you can still be killed, though, even at even at later levels. You will still be able to be killed. All right, next up, you want something free? Awesome. I found a game that I've been running with my friends, and we have been having a blast with it. Also, partially because it kind of hits us in the nostalgia. We had found a group that had made this. It is free. There's even a Discord for it. We have Pokemon Tabletop Adventures 3. It runs similarly close to the 5th edition engine. However, if you want to relive your experiences of playing Pokemon, and you want to do it as your own character, role playing with the world in a way that you probably couldn't in the games, this is great. They've got everything from gym battles, how to handle wild encounters. They have an expansive amount of Pokemon. I think they have everything up to the latest gen so far, and also Legends Arceus in here. They have a Game Master's Guide. They have also Player's Handbook 2, which includes a couple other archetypes of characters, because your characters can do a little bit more besides throw a ball at the Pokemon. And also, the way they handle Pokemon fighting is so good. And if you want to be a contest coordinator, that's in here as well. Breeders, there's room for you. Same for researchers. Trying to think. Also, yes, Rangers. You can be a Ranger in this game, and yes, you do get the Styler. And then Handbook 2 has the Psychic and the Martial Artist as well. There's all sorts of good things that I've seen in here. I would put this at 7 out of 10. It's a campaign I'd like to run. I wouldn't put it near the top, but 7 out of 10, I think it's pretty good. It's pretty good. Next up, game I haven't had a chance to play, but I've played a different variant of it. If you are looking for a nice dungeon crawler RPG, we have Borg by Stockholm Kartell. Stockholm Kartell, they are a smaller subgroup of Free League Publishing, and they're kind of doing their own thing, and they are from Stockholm, Sweden. And Borg is basically you are on the verge of the apocalypse, and what else is there to do besides go dungeon diving? So it's fast, it's gritty, it's brutal. And if you don't mind character death, and if you want, just to see what happens when you cascade a bunch of dice down a ramp and just get your results that way, Borg is great. It is very much about randomness. It is organized chaos. It's like if you put the guardrails up in the bowling alley, and then you just send like a bunch of balls down there. You don't know how you're going to get an end result, but you're going to get an end result one way or another. Because I haven't really had a chance to play it, but from what I've heard positive things about Borg. It's not one that I would personally play often, but it would be a nice, pick up, run a dungeon, put back down. So I'm going to put it at 5 out of 10. It's like right there in the middle. It's one that I will play, probably with the right friend group. But I will play it, but it's not going to be a top choice. Next up is, I guess a way that some people have described it is Cyberpunk's grittier, edgier younger brother. And this is the dystopian variant of Borg. We have Cyborg. Cyborg is by Stockholm Kartell, runs on Borg's engine, and is, of course, telling stories from a dark future so bad the world might as well just go ahead and turn itself over. But you still gotta make some money. You gotta still be able to eat. You gotta be able to live, even in this hellscape. And on top of all that, I personally think that some of the archetypes that come in here, it's just great for if you want a nice, quick, gritty, dark future adventure. Cyborg touches on it. And also, from what I learned, they actually have like just funny advertising in the Foundry module for it. Because Free League and Stockholm Kartell, they have great Foundry support for what they've got going on. So Cyborg, I will, because I have a little bit more of an interest in the dark future, I'm going to put Cyborg at 6 out of 10. I would be more than happy to sit down and play this a little bit more compared to its other counterparts. And, you know, maybe I think 6 out of 10. 7 out of 10, maybe if I'm GMing. And then next up, we have also something that was made through the Free League Workshop. Pirate Borg. Somebody homebrewed, okay, what if Borg but pirates? And then Pirate Borg happened. So if you'd rather, you know, seafaring on the apocalyptic seas, sailing out on the apocalyptic seas with all sorts of dangerous, awful things out there, Pirate Borg would be a great fit for you. Very much follows probably along the lines of Cyborg and Borg. I don't know how much more can be said about the Borg group. They're good games. They are chaotic. They are fun. They are just a nice getaway from, you know, the much more organized games. So I'm gonna put Pirate Borg at 5 out of 10. I probably would be happy to play it, probably with the right group of friends. But I absolutely don't have any complaints about it. It's deadly, yes. It's fast-paced, and it is fun. Oh, also, one last thing to note about the board game. When it comes to combat, everything is player-sided. The GMs make no attack rolls against you. Players, you just roll dice to see if something hits you or not. Now, another thing that came from Stockholm Kartell is Death in Space. Now, I'm planning on running a campaign of this because I don't mind a nice like low sci-fi setting. This takes place as the edges of the universe are tearing in because of the apocalypse, and you are, you know, an astronaut, you know, just trying to survive in, you know, the last days, maybe find somewhere else to go that's safer. I think it would be a really fun, like, dark space game to do. It does have horror elements as well, and it's brutal, but from what I've read, it feels like this game makes for a better, like, longer term campaign compared to Borg and Cyborg and Pirate Borg. But it kind of follows alongside that same engine. You got everything from, like, unimaginable beings from the great beyond to, you know, other spacefarers out there, and you all are just fighting for the scraps, trying to keep your ship going another, you know, for another day, so to speak. So, Death in Space, since I've had a good read of it and I'm going to GM it, 7 out of 10. So, for something a little bit different, if you want something a little more comedic, lighthearted, probably also just a little bit deadly, but in all the right ways, and if you are a fan of Bethesda and some of their games, as well as, you know, just being a fan of, you know, the post-apocalypse, we have Fallout, the role-playing game. It is a 2d20 system that I have praised before for its different approach to how it plays, where it's very much more, it is your skill and attribute brought together to make the goal, and you have to roll d20s underneath that goal. So that way, you can pass a check. There's ways to get more dice using your action points, and it plays very much to the likings of the Fallout video games. The core rulebook seems to be set more towards the eastern seaboard of where we follow more Fallout 3 and Fallout 4. But it wouldn't be too hard to do something in Fallout New Vegas or, Fallout 76. And there's a lot of DLCs out there for helping you determine different kinds of campaigns you want to do. We got the Settler's Guide. We have the Survivor's Guide. And in here, you can play a super mutant. You can play a Mr. Handy, a ghoul. You can play as a member of the Brotherhood of Steel, a vault dweller, or, a survivor. And I think that's really cool, some of the many options that we have. I kind of wonder if synths might come in a later book, though. So that way, you could play something to the likes of Kiri. Because I know she's a beloved character that we have in the Fallout universe. Or for the fact that she's just fucking adorable. So, on top of that, a lot of the great weapons are in here. You've got, your typical pipe guns. You've got the Gauss cannons. You've got the railway gun. And, of course, the junk jet. The junk jet is in here. And it's great. You name it, it's probably in here. And also the way that they do, salvaging and scrapping. It's a little bit more down to the material compared to other games I've seen. But I think that makes for a really fun play on the settler side when you're trying to find the parts that you need. And you gotta go on an adventure to go find it. So, next one I have in mind, of course, we have from Free League Publishing, we have Blade Runner. And I've talked about Blade Runner before. Blade Runner does have a really nice starter kit with the first case that comes with it. But the core rulebook itself has everything you need to create... Oh, I forgot to do ratings. For Fallout 2D20, I'm so sorry, Modiphius. I forgot to mention that. Fallout 2D20, 8 out of 10. I would recommend it. They've got everything in the core rulebook that you need to play the game. It is fun. It creates hilarious moments, and I would highly recommend it. Now, I'm not going to cut that out because I know y'all like to make fun of my bloopers. So anyway, we got Blade Runner. Blade Runner, it's a little bit more of a investigative game. Not as high action as it is high intrigue and also looking at one's inner self. The game itself is not so much about solving the case, but making sure that you yourself know that you are either doing the right thing or a good thing. It is right versus good in all the wrong ways to just make your heart break and your head spin. And also, there's just no easy answers. And I love that about how they wrote this. And also, GMs, there's a nice creation guide to help you create your own cases as well. I've talked a bit about Blade Runner. We have a live play over on my channel. I gotta say, I will give Free League this. They have knocked it out of the park with Blade Runner. And I am going to give Blade Runner 9 out of 10. Reason why it doesn't get a full 10 is because the single limitation that I see with Blade Runner is because it runs very much on cases. You do have to do a lot of work on the GM side to make those cases happen. But when you make those cases, when you write those cases, make those happen, it is beautiful, the story that gets told. And the time pressure because of the countdown that's featured in Blade Runner. It creates this nice, high stakes, low action. Well, there is action. There's a great chase system in here as well. There's action, but not combat all the time. It creates this really, really good setup for someone that may not want to do combat all the time. This is it. This is a social game with combat. And it plays like a movie, in the words of Dice. I suppose next in line, of course, we have the Cyberpunk Red core rulebook. Cyberpunk Red, my favorite system. Personal bias, I love it. You know, Dia is based on the game itself. I have talked about this game enough. I don't feel I need to get in all the details, but why Cyberpunk Red? It is easy to learn. There is even a free easy mode to help you learn the basics of the game. If you don't want to put any money down, you can go grab easy mode and play it that way. The thing that I would recommend, though, if you get the core rulebook, if you need something that's a little more affordable, the PDF is only $30. You got everything to play the game in there. And Artal produces free stuff and puts it on their website that is compatible with this book. It's all there. And also all the source books that came out for Cyberpunk Red so far are fantastic. They've all have knocked it out of the park. So with Cyberpunk Red, it takes place in 2045 in Night City. It's during the rebuilding after the nuke. It is a brutal, dark future. Not quite as deadly as Cyborg. You're a little bit tougher, but not by much. And things can get really, really gnarly if you don't watch your step. But if you want to, relive all those glory stories of, 2077, but you want to do it in a place where the playing field's much more level when the corps don't have much power, right here, this is it. And then, of course, something else that comes out tomorrow upon the making of this video. Tomorrow, we have, for anybody that might be interested in Cyberpunk Red, and Cyberpunk Red, 10 out of 10. I can pick this game up and I will always play Cyberpunk Red. But for those of you guys who might be new to Cyberpunk Red or want to see life in the 2070s, we do have the Cyberpunk Edgerunner's Mission Kit. Now, I've talked about the Cyberpunk Edgerunner's Mission Kit a little bit, and I'll be doing a full review once the kit fully comes out. But you have everything in here to run basically a mission that takes place a month after the anime Cyberpunk Edgerunners. It's called The Jacket. And GMs, players, there is everything in there to help you learn how to play the game in full. The box set only costs $35. The PDF only costs $15. It's kind of limited, but if you want full play, just get Cyberpunk Red, and you'll be able to have everything you need there. And also, they have quick hacking in here. They have all the fancy weapons in here that Cyberpunk Red does not. And they talk about when those things come into play. And there's also expanded rules in here for those of you guys who might be players of Cyberpunk Red. There's expanded rules. I'll talk about those in my CEMK review. And of course, I would rate the mission kit 10 out of 10. It is a great introductory kit for new people coming in and for people that are returning to the game. So, on that note, I've given you guys a series of games to check out. Do your research, find what's the best value for you. If you still want to continue playing Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition, I am not saying to walk away from something you enjoy. I am just simply throwing out new options that are out there because I have not been happy with what has been happening over there with Dungeons & Dragons. So, at the end of the day, the choice is yours. Play what you like at your table. And, of course, as always, Chumbas, have a great day, and I will see you guys around. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.